From the PEP Radio Newsroom, we have this special report about the end of the war in Iran. A deal is reached to end the Iran war, and Trump orders a stop to the U.S. naval blockade. The United States and Iran have reached an agreement to end the war and open the Strait of Hormuz, offering relief to the global economy more than 3 months since fighting began. Details of the deal were not immediately available, and Iran signaled implementation would not start until the signing, which key mediator, Pakistan, said would occur Friday in Switzerland. Iran said the text would be published after that. Key issues like Iran's nuclear program are expected to be addressed later. But even as it became clear, the parties still have days to influence what lies ahead. The announcements had an air of relief. Congratulations to all, U.S. President Donald Trump wrote on social media, adding, I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz and simultaneously herewith authorize the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade imposed in retaliation for Iran's grip on the crucial waterway. He soon hedged, however, saying the strait wouldn't open until Friday's signing. The U.S. previously said it would ease its blockade of Iranian ports as the strait reopens and would agree to relax sanctions to allow Iran to sell more of its oil and thus strengthen its battered economy. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi confirmed the agreement on state television, but said Iran would not start implementing it until it was signed on Friday. He said the deal followed talks with Qatar, another mediator. Qatari mediators later left Tehran following 17 hours of negotiations, said an official, briefed on the developments, who spoke on condition of anonymity due to sensitivity of the talks. Separate preparatory meetings with each side will take place in Doha this week, the officials said. After months of fighting, a critical step is taken to end the war. This represents a critical step toward the peaceful settlement of the conflict, the spokesperson for the United Nations Secretary General said of the deal and framework for further negotiations. Pakistan first announced the deal after a day in which Israel, sidelined from the negotiations, attacked Beirut's southern suburbs while pursuing the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Iran's deputy foreign minister hinted at the tensions that caused, saying, our armed forces were fully prepared to give a decisive response to Israel's actions. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif said both sides have declared the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon, adding that mediators this week will facilitate meetings to lay the foundation for the technical talks. Iranian state TV later cited the Secretariat of the Supreme National Security Council, saying the war on all fronts will immediately end and permanently, beginning tonight, but that the U.S. blockade will be terminated immediately and in full. It was not clear who from Iran would sign the deal on Friday. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance told Fox News the White House was still figuring out who would attend. I certainly plan to be there, but it's possible the president himself could be there. The deal came under criticism even in the final hours. Broader negotiations on outstanding issues like Iran's nuclear program would continue over the next 60 days. Two senior Pakistani officials said earlier Sunday, speaking on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the matter publicly. If the sides failed to reach a resolution within that time, the timeline could be extended. The deal likely returns the region to a status that existed before the war, but with thousands of people dead and Iran wielding a new source of negotiating pressure with its ability to influence shipping in the strait. The waterway is crucial to significant shipments of oil, natural gas, and related products like fertilizer and helium, and its effective closure rocked the global economy. of the stated targets by the United States and Israel when they launched the war on February 28th, with strikes that killed Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Tehran still has a missile program, support for armed proxies in the region like Hezbollah, and a stockpile of highly enriched uranium for its nuclear program. Khamenei's son is now supreme leader, though he has not been seen in the public since the war began. His approval was needed for the sign-off on the deal. Iran wanted a ceasefire deal to include the fighting in Lebanon, where Israel has pushed its invasion deeper than at any point in over a quarter of a century as it targets Hezbollah. Tehran also has sought the release of billions of dollars in frozen funds. The emerging deal has been sharply criticized by Israel's government and by critics in Trump's own Republican Party. Some said it did not improve on the terms of the 2015 Iran nuclear deal that Trump withdrew the United States from during his first term and still describes as bad. There was also apparent friction inside Iran in the hours before the announcement, as the government earlier Sunday warned that any division at home over the deal weakens its negotiating position. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian urged national unity and called it a disgrace when someone stands before parliament and calls anyone who negotiates a traitor. The central question of Iran's nuclear program remains. After the war began, Iran attacked Israel and several Arab Gulf nations with missiles and drones. A ceasefire was reached on April 7th. 10 days later, the U.S. military imposed its blockade, a historic face-to-face meeting between Vice President J.D. Vance and Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Khalibaf ended without success. Throughout negotiations, Trump alternatively threatened to destroy Iranian infrastructure, even its civilization, and praised the relationship with Iran as more professional, as his administration sought an exit from the war, with midterm U.S. elections coming later this year. Iran's government, with its own tensions around hardliners as it scrambled to replace several top officials killed in the war, repeatedly expressed wariness of negotiations after rounds of talks last year and early this year ended with U.S. and Israeli attacks. Tehran has emphasized that it wanted a deal to focus on ending the war, with discussions put off until later on for its nuclear program. The issue at the center of it all: Iran has approximately 972 pounds, or 440.9 kilograms, of uranium that is enriched up to 60% purity, a short technical step from weapons-grade levels of 90%, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency. Iran has long maintained its nuclear program is peaceful and has not publicly commented or committed to giving up the enriched uranium, which is believed to be buried under 3 nuclear sites that were badly damaged by U.S. strikes last year. At times, the U.S. had sought the removal of the enriched uranium from Iran as part of a deal. Russia has offered to take it. Of course they have. But at other times, Trump said he wanted the uranium destroyed. Those are the details we have thus far. As more news develops on the war in Iran, the peace deal, and other news stories, we will cover them on the PEP Radio YouTube channel. For now, we're going to get back to more music here on PEP Radio.